Picture yourself standing before a shattered mirror in the heart of a raging storm. The wind howls, rain stings your skin, and the fractured glass reflects 1,000 distorted versions of you, angry, lost, uncertain. This is the chaos of an unexamined mind, a tempest within that drowns out clarity and purpose. You've felt it, haven't you? That gnawing unrest, the impulsive choices, the words you wish you could reclaim. What happens when you refuse to face the storm within? You stumble through life blind to the forces driving you a ship without a compass in a merciless sea. Welcome to the journey of mastering life through understanding yourself. In this first step, we confront the storm within, the turmoil of thoughts and emotions you've yet to name or tame. The cost of avoiding self-reflection is steep, broken relationships, missed opportunities, and a quiet ache that no distraction can soothe. But there is power in picking up the pen, in daring to gaze into that shattered mirror and piece it together, shard by shard. Let's walk this path together. Feel the urgency. The storm is here, but so is your chance to rise above it. Imagine a heated argument with someone you love, a partner, a parent, a friend. Words fly like daggers. You're shouting, accusing your voice, raw with anger. You never listen. You snap, but inside a deeper pain festers. The other person stares back wounded, and you storm off, heart pounding. Later alone, you replay the moment. Why did you explode? Why did that one comment cut so deep? You don't know. You've never asked. The truth is, your rage wasn't just about their words. It was a mirror reflecting an old insecurity, a fear of being unseen, unworthy. But you've buried that fear so long, you can't even name it. This is the chaos of an unexamined mind. You react without understanding. You lash out not because of the moment, but because of the unseen wounds you carry. I've been there too, snapping at a colleague over a minor critique, only to realize later it wasn't about their feedback. It was about my fear of failure, a shadow I hadn't faced. The cost was clear: a strained connection, a sleepless night, and the bitter taste of regret. But what if in that charged moment you had paused? What if you had turned inward, even for a second, to ask, what's really driving me here? That's the first crack of light in the storm. As Wayne Dyer once said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. The mirror, though shattered, can still show you the truth if you're brave enough to look. The lesson here ties to the storm within and the mirror in the tempest. Your anger, your reactions are reflections of deeper currents you've ignored. Until you face them, you'll keep breaking what matters most. The takeaway is, this self-reflection isn't a luxury. It's your shield against the chaos. By writing down your thoughts after that argument, by asking, why did I feel this way on paper, you begin to see the unseen. You start to mend the mirror. Now picture yourself at a crossroads in life. You're in your late 20s or maybe older, and nothing feels right. You've jumped from job to job, chasing paychecks or fleeting passions, but each choice leaves you emptier. One day you impulsively quit a stable gig for a dream opportunity that collapses in weeks. Friends ask, what do you want? And you fumble for an answer. You don't know. You've never stopped to ask yourself. So you keep moving, new cities, new hobbies, new distractions, hoping the next thing will magically click. But it doesn't. Inside the storm rages. Doubt whispers. Fear looms. You're lost and every step feels heavier. I've seen this in others and I've felt echoes of it myself. A friend of mine, let's call her Maya, spent years drifting. She'd enroll in courses, start businesses, date endlessly, but nothing stuck. I just need to find my thing, she'd say. Yet she never paused to define what her thing even meant. The cost was brutal debt, burnout, and a gnawing sense of being left behind. One night in tears, she scribbled her frustrations in a notebook, random raw thoughts. Why do I keep running? What am I scared of? That act, messy as it was, cracked open a door. She saw patterns, fear of commitment, a need to prove herself. It wasn't a fix, but it was a map. The mirror in the storm began to clear. Here lies the lesson tied to our metaphor. Without gazing into that fractured glass, without examining your desires and fears, you wander aimlessly through the tempest. As Stephen Covey wrote in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, begin with the end in mind. But how can you if you've never defined the end? Writing your thoughts isn't just catharsis, it's your compass. It anchors you when the storm blinds you. The takeaway resonates. Understanding yourself is the first step to mastering life. Let's sit with this for a moment. The storm within isn't just noise, it's a signal. Every burst of anger, every reckless choice is a shard of the mirror reflecting something deeper. But how often do you turn away? How many times have you blamed others or the world rather than face the jagged edges of your own thoughts? An unexamined mind is a wild river, carving paths of destruction without intent. It sweeps away trust, clarity, and purpose. You can't control the storm, but you can learn to navigate it. That begins with courage. The courage to stand before the mirror, rain lashing your face, and see what's truly there. Think of the mirror as a forge. The storm tests you, yes, but it also shapes you. Pain, doubt, confusion, they aren't enemies. They're the hammer strikes that reveal your strength if you dare to look. Avoiding self-reflection is like fleeing the forge mid-process. You remain brittle, unfinished. But when you commit to understanding yourself, when you trace the origins of your storms, you emerge tempered, unbreakable. What have you been running from? What truth in that shattered glass scares you most? The cost of avoidance is a life half-lived, a potential unclaimed. Step closer. Let the mirror show you who you are and who you can become. There's a heaviness in silence, isn't there? Not the quiet of peace, but the silence of unasked questions, of thoughts left unexplored. When you refuse to examine your mind, you carry that weight everywhere. It's in the sleepless nights, the sudden irritability, the vague unease you can't name. The storm within doesn't rest. It churns beneath the surface, eroding your foundation like a relentless tide against a cliff. You might think ignoring it keeps you safe, but it only delays the collapse. How long have you carried this burden? How much have you lost to the chaos you won't face? Consider the mirror in the storm as a lighthouse, fractured but still guiding. It doesn't stop the tempest, but it offers a point of focus, a way through. Self-reflection. The act of writing down your thoughts is how you harness that light. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. When you name your fears, your desires, your pain, you strip away their power to control you. The storm remains, but you stand taller within it. The cost of avoiding this work is a life dictated by shadows. But the reward of facing it, freedom. You begin to steer your ship no longer at the mercy of unseen currents. So tell me, are you ready to lift the weight of silence, or will you let it crush you? Here's where we turn insight into action. The storm within feels overwhelming, but you don't need to conquer it all at once. Start small. When anger flares or confusion clouds your mind, pause. Don't react. Don't run. Grab a pen and a scrap of paper. Anything will do. Write one sentence, I feel this way, because let the words spill unpolished and raw. Maybe it's, I'm angry because I feel dismissed, or I'm lost because I don't know what I want. That simple act, that first scratch of ink, is a crack in the storm. It forces you to look into the mirror even for a moment. Do this for 5 minutes. Don't judge what you write. Just release it, then read it back. What do you see? Often the root of your turmoil isn't what you assumed. This isn't about solving everything, it's about starting. Each time you pause and pen, you build a habit of clarity. You train yourself to face the chaos rather than flee it. The mirror begins to mend. Try this the next time you're tempted to lash out or make a rash choice. One sentence can save a relationship, a decision, or a piece of your peace. You have the power to shift the storm's direction. Use it. Here's another tool to ground you amid the tempest. Every night before sleep, set aside 10 minutes for a ritual of reflection. Take a notebook, keep it by your bed if you must, and write 3 things. 1 emotion you felt strongly today, 1 decision you made, good or bad, and 1 question you have about yourself. Maybe it's, I felt anxious today. I avoided a tough conversation, and why do I keep dodging conflict? No need for essays, bullet points work. The goal isn't to analyze, it's to notice. This nightly anchor does something powerful. It turns the shattered mirror into a daily checkpoint. Over weeks, patterns emerge. You'll see why certain emotions dominate, why certain choices repeat. It's not magic, it's awareness. As Napoleon Hill wrote in Think and Grow Rich, knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when and if it is organized into definite plans of action. Your thoughts, once written, become knowledge you can act on. They stop being a storm and start being a map. Commit to this for a month. Watch how the chaos begins to settle. You're not just surviving the tempest, you're learning to sail through it. We've journeyed through the storm within, facing the chaos of an unexamined mind and the steep cost of avoiding self-reflection. You've seen it in the sharp sting of unchecked anger, in the aimless wandering of a life without direction. The mirror in the storm, though fractured, holds the truth: you can't master life without understanding yourself. Every impulsive reaction, every buried fear is a shard waiting to be pieced together. The lesson is clear: self-reflection isn't a burden, it's your bridge to clarity. By writing down your thoughts, you begin to calm the tempest, to see through the rain and rebuild what's broken. This is just the beginning. The storm within will rage again, but now you know it's not your enemy, it's your teacher. As we move forward, we'll uncover how to wield the pen as a tool of transformation, how to turn fleeting thoughts into lasting power. For now, hold this truth close. Stand before the mirror, no matter how fierce the wind. Dare to look, dare to write. The chaos is not your end, it's your starting point. Final mantra: face the mirror, tame the storm. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a vast, uncharted wilderness, a blank parchment in your trembling hands. No roads mark the way, no signs point to safety. The terrain of your mind is just as wild thoughts dart like shadows, emotions surge like untamed rivers. How do you navigate this unknown? You draw your own map. With every stroke of your pen, you uncover hidden paths, reveal buried fears, and chart a course to clarity. Writing is not just an act, it's your compass, your guide, your salvation. Welcome to the journey of charting the unknown. Within the broader quest to master life by understanding yourself, this is where you learn the raw power of putting pen to paper. You can't conquer what you can't see, and your thoughts, those fleeting whispers of doubt, hope, and longing, remain invisible until you trap them in ink. This section is your call to action, your invitation to transform chaos into order. Feel the weight of the pen, sense the urgency. You're not just writing, you're uncovering the very blueprint of your soul. Let's step into this wilderness together and draw the map that will lead you home. Meet Sarah, a 28-year-old marketing coordinator with a corner desk in a bustling city office. From the outside, her life looks polished: sharp blazers, a steady paycheck, a LinkedIn profile that hums with ambition. But beneath the surface, a storm brews. Every meeting triggers a racing heart. Every deadline feels like a noose tightening. Anxiety is her silent companion, whispering lies about her worth, her competence, her future. She pushes through, smiling through gritted teeth, but at night she lies awake, replaying every misstep, every awkward pause. She's lost in the wilderness of her mind, no map to guide her. One day, exhausted and desperate, Sarah stumbles upon a simple idea: write it down. She buys a cheap notebook, nothing fancy, and begins scribbling her thoughts each evening. At first it feels pointless, random fragments of worry, half-formed fears. I'm failing. I'll never keep up. They'll see I'm a fraud. But night after night, something shifts. Patterns emerge like trails through the undergrowth. She notices how her anxiety spikes before presentations, how it ties to a childhood memory of being laughed at during a school play. She sees how her fear isn't random, it's a loop, a predictable beast she can face. Through writing, Sarah draws her map. Each entry is a line, a marker, a step toward understanding. She starts small breathing exercises before meetings, affirmations, to counter the whispers. The storm doesn't vanish, but it no longer blinds her. She knows its shape now, its triggers, its lies. As Napoleon Hill once wrote in Think and Grow, rich whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. Sarah begins to believe in her strength, not her fear, because she's seen it mapped out in her own hand. Her lesson is clear: writing uncovers the hidden terrain of your emotions, turning chaos into a path you can walk with purpose. Now imagine David, a father of two, juggling a full-time job and a household that never sleeps. His days are a blur: diaper changes, client calls, spilled cereal, late-night emails. He loves his family, but he's drowning. Guilt gnaws at him for missing bedtime stories. Resentment creeps in when he's too tired to play. He feels like a ship lost in fog, no lighthouse in sight, no way to steer toward what matters most. His thoughts are fleeting, scattered like leaves in a gale, and he can't grasp them long enough to make sense of the mess. One night after the kids are finally asleep, David sits at the kitchen table exhausted. On a whim, he grabs a scrap of paper and writes, "I'm failing them. I'm failing myself. What am I even doing? The words spill out raw and jagged. He keeps going night after night, jotting down fleeting frustrations, quiet joys, nagging doubts. Slowly, the fog begins to lift. He sees how much he values teaching his daughter to ride a bike, how little he cares about impressing his boss with overtime. His priorities, once buried under noise, take shape on the page like a hand-drawn map, rough but real. David's writing becomes his anchor. He doesn't solve every problem, but he knows where to steer. He carves out an hour on Sundays for family, no emails, no excuses. He lets go of perfection and embraces presence. His map isn't flawless, but it's his, and it shows him the way back to what matters. As Brené Brown reminds us in Daring Greatly, vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. David's vulnerability on the page bursts clarity, guiding him through the fog of overwhelm. The lesson shines through, writing captures what slips through your fingers, helping you chart a course to your true north. Step back for a moment and look within. Your mind is a wilderness, vast and untamed, filled with towering peaks of ambition and dark valleys of doubt. Thoughts rush like rivers, some clear, some muddy, and you can't always tell which will lead to growth and which to ruin. How often have you wandered in circles, lost in the same fears, the same regrets without realizing it? How many truths about yourself have you missed because they vanished before you could hold them? Writing is your map, drawn by hand, line by line. It's not a perfect chart, no satellite imagery, no pre-made paths. It's raw, messy, personal. But that's its power. When you write, you pin down the fleeting. You mark the spot where fear ambushed you, the clearing where hope flickered. You see the landscape of your soul for what it is, not what you wish it to be. Like a cartographer of old, you must brave the unknown, pen in hand, to understand where you stand. Writing doesn't just record, it reveals. It shows you the rivers of emotion you've ignored, the mountains of strength you've forgotten. Without it, you're a traveler. Without a guide, doomed to stumble through the same thorns again and again. Consider this: what have you refused to map out? What corners of your mind have you left uncharted, fearing what you might find? The wilderness within isn't your enemy. It's your territory to claim. Pick up the pen. Draw the first line. Every word is a step toward mastery, a declaration that you will not be lost forever. There's a heaviness to thoughts unspoken, isn't there? They pile up like stones in a riverbed, slowing the current of your clarity, damming your progress. You carry them, worries, dreams, angers, without realizing how they bend your shoulders, cloud your vision. You tell yourself they'll sort themselves out, that time will wash them away. But time is no cartographer. It doesn't draw maps. It only erases paths you could have taken. Writing lifts that weight. Each word you commit to paper is a stone removed, a burden lightened. You don't need eloquence or poetry, just honesty. Scribble the raw, jagged edges of your fear. Sketch the faint outline of a hope you barely believe in. As you write, you're not just unloading, you're building. Your map takes shape, showing you where the river of your thoughts bottlenecks, where it flows free. You see connections you missed in the rush of daily life, how a small resentment ties to a deeper wound, how a quiet joy hints at a purpose worth pursuing. The page becomes your mirror, reflecting not just what you think, but why. Ask yourself, how long will you carry the weight of the unspoken? How many insights have slipped through the cracks of your memory because you didn't mark them down? Writing is your act of defiance against chaos. It's your way of saying, I will not be overwhelmed. I will map my way through. So write. Unload the stones. Let the river flow. Your map awaits, and with it, the clarity to navigate life's wildest terrains. You don't need to be a writer to chart your unknown. You don't need hours or a leather-bound journal. All you need is a moment and a scrap of paper. Start small, but start now. Every day, carve out 5 minutes before bed, after breakfast, during a lunch break. Write down one thought, one feeling, one question that's gnawing at you. It could be as simple as I'm tired of feeling rushed, or as heavy as, why do I keep doubting myself? Don't judge it. Don't edit it. Just let it land on the page. This daily habit is your first line on the map. Over time, those lines connect. You'll see patterns: how stress spikes on Mondays, how joy flickers after a kind word. Use a notebook, a notes app, even the back of a receipt. The tool doesn't matter. The act does. If you miss a day, don't quit. Pick up the pen again. Consistency builds the map, not perfection. As James Allen wrote in, "As a man thinketh." A man's mind may be likened to a garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. Writing cultivates your mind, turning wilderness into a garden you can navigate. So start today. Draw that first line. Watch the unknown begin to take shape. When the wilderness of your mind feels overwhelming, use writing as your compass with a simple, powerful method: ask and answer. Grab your pen and pose a question to yourself. What's holding me back right now? What do I truly want this week? Why did that moment hurt so much? Write the question at the top of the page. Then let your thoughts flow. Don't overthink, just respond. You might surprise yourself with what emerges: buried fears, forgotten dreams, or solutions you didn't see before. This practice is a deliberate act of map making. Each question is a landmark, each answer a path. If you're stuck, start with, "I don't know, but," and keep going. The act of wrestling with the question on paper forces clarity. Do this weekly or whenever doubt clouds your vision. Pair it with a quiet moment, no distractions, just you and the page. You're not just venting, you're charting. You're uncovering the hidden contours of your inner world. So ask, answer, draw the map one question at a time. The answers are within you, waiting to be traced. As we close this chapter of Charting the Unknown, let the truth sink deep. Writing is your map, your tool to uncover the hidden thoughts and emotions that shape your life. Through the stories of Sarah and David, you've seen how the act of putting pen to paper transforms chaos into clarity, anxiety into understanding, overwhelm into purpose. Through reflection, you felt the weight of unspoken thoughts and the freedom of mapping your inner wilderness. Through practical steps, you've armed yourself with ways to start, to ask, to answer. The takeaway is undeniable. You can't master life without understanding yourself, and understanding begins when you write it down. Your journey doesn't end here. The map you draw today is just the beginning, a rough sketch of a vast terrain still waiting to be explored. Keep your pen close as we prepare to venture deeper in the next section, where we'll confront the obstacles that threaten to erase your progress. For now, hold fast to this truth. Draw your lines, mark your paths. The unknown is not your enemy, it's your canvas. Final mantra: chart your wilderness. Your clarity is one stroke away. Picture yourself lost in a dense, suffocating fog. The world around you is blurred, uncertain, a maze of doubts and half-formed fears. You can't see the path ahead, and every step feels like a gamble. But there in the distance, a lighthouse stands, unyielding its beam, slicing through the haze, offering clarity, guiding you to shore. That lighthouse is your pen, your journal, your willingness to write down your thoughts. It's the tool that pierces the fog of your mind, revealing the truths you've avoided for far too long. You've danced around this act of writing, haven't you? The idea of putting your raw, unfiltered self onto a page feels like standing on the edge of a cliff, exposed, vulnerable, terrifying. But here's the unspoken reality. You can't master life without understanding yourself, and understanding begins when you dare to confront the chaos within. In this section, we dive into the practical strategies that make writing a habit, a lifeline, a way to face the uncomfortable truths hiding in your shadows. Feel the weight of that pen in your hand. It's not just ink, it's illumination. Let's step into the fog together and carve out your clarity. Imagine yourself as a student, hunched over a cluttered desk, surrounded by textbooks and half-hearted notes. Your mind is a storm, swirling with fears of failure, whispers of inadequacy, and the crushing weight of unmet expectations. Everyone tells you to journal, to get it out, but the blank page feels like a mirror, one you're terrified to look into. What if writing it down makes the failure real? What if seeing your doubts in black and white confirms you're not enough? So you push the notebook aside day after day, letting the fog thicken. But one evening, exhausted by the noise in your head, you decide to try. Just 5 minutes. That's all you commit to. You set a timer, grip your pen, and scribble the first thing that comes to mind. "I'm scared I'll never be good at this." The words sting, but they're out. The timer beeps and you stop. That's it, 5 minutes. The next day you do it again. "I messed up that presentation today. I felt small." Slowly, day by day, 5 minutes turns into 10. The page becomes less of a mirror and more of a map. You start to see patterns, how often fear stops you, how often you underestimate your grit. Weeks later, you flip back through those early entries and realize something you've grown. The failures you wrote about didn't break you. They taught you. That 5-minute habit became your lighthouse, cutting through the fog of self-doubt, guiding you to a shore of confidence you didn't know existed. As Brené Brown reminds us in Daring Greatly, vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. You dared to be vulnerable on the page, and in doing so, you found your strength. The lesson shines clear. Even the smallest act of writing can pierce the haze and lead you home to yourself. Now picture yourself older, carrying a weight you've never spoken aloud. A painful memory, a betrayal, a loss, a moment of shame sits like a stone in your chest. You've buried it deep, hoping time would erode it, but it festers in the fog of your mind, coloring every choice, every relationship. Friends say write about it, let it go. But the thought of revisiting that moment feels like tearing open a wound. You resist, you distract, you pretend it's gone. Yet late at night it haunts you still. One day you're tired of running. You sit with a notebook, hands trembling, and decide to face it. At first the words won't come. You write, I don't want to do this, and stop. But something urges you forward. You push past the resistance and begin. That day I felt broken. I felt like I'd never recover. The sentences are jagged, messy, but as they spill out, so does the pain. You name the emotions: anger, grief, helplessness, and with each word, the stone in your chest lightens. It's not gone, but it's smaller, manageable. For the first time, you see that memory not as a chain, but as a chapter one you can close. When you finish, you're drained, but there's a quiet relief. The fog lifts just enough to show you a truth. Naming your pain doesn't destroy you, it frees you. Like a lighthouse beam cutting through the murkiest night, writing illuminated what you couldn't face alone. As Stephen King once wrote in On Writing, writing is a way of finding out what's true. By putting that memory on the page, you found a truth worth holding. You are stronger than your past. The lighthouse of your words guided you to solid ground. Let's pause and look deeper into this fog that surrounds you. It's not just confusion or fear, it's a teacher, a relentless one. The fog of your mind hides the truths you've dodged, the insecurities you mask with busyness, the regrets you've buried under false smiles, the dreams you've abandoned for comfort. It's thick, disorienting, and cold, but it's also a call to action. Why do you think it lingers? Could it be that the fog exists to force you to seek the light, to build your own lighthouse through the act of writing? Think of your thoughts as a turbulent sea crashing against unseen rocks. Without a beacon, you're adrift, reacting to every wave, lost in the chaos. Writing is your lighthouse, standing firm against the storm, casting a beam that reveals the shoreline of understanding. It's not about erasing the fog. It's about learning to navigate through it. Each word you write is a pulse of light, exposing a piece of yourself you've ignored. Pain is not your enemy here. It's your compass. Fear is not your jailer. It's your guide. When you write, you don't just record, you transform. You turn the fog from a barrier into a bridge. So ask yourself, how long will you wander in the haze, pretending you see clearly? How many truths will you avoid before you pick up the pen and pierce the darkness? The fog isn't going anywhere until you face it. Build your lighthouse. Write. Let the beam of your honesty guide you to the shore of self-mastery. There's a reason writing feels like standing on a windswept cliff exposed to the elements. It's because the act forces you to confront uncomfortable truths, those jagged, raw edges of yourself you'd rather smooth over. You've lived with illusions that you're fine, that the past doesn't matter, that your fears aren't real. But the moment your pen touches the page, those illusions shatter. Writing is a forge, and the uncomfortable truth is the fire that shapes you. Consider the lighthouse again. Its beam doesn't just illuminate, it exposes. It reveals the rocks, the wreckage, the dangers you've sailed past without noticing. Writing does the same. It shows you the patterns of self-sabotage, the wounds you've left untended, the strength you've underestimated. It's not comfortable to see these things. It burns. But just as steel is forged in heat, so too is your resilience forged in the discomfort of truth. You don't grow by hiding from the fire. You grow by stepping into it, letting it refine you. Have you ever wondered why the hardest truths are the ones that set you free? Why does facing your shame or doubt on the page feel like shedding a heavy coat? It's because the uncomfortable truth is your raw material. Write it down and you begin to shape it. You turn weakness into wisdom, pain into purpose. The lighthouse of your words doesn't just guide, it rebuilds. So stand in the fire. Write the truths that scare you. Let them forge you into someone unbreakable. Let's get practical. You want to make writing a habit, but the idea of filling pages with profound thoughts feels like scaling a mountain with no gear. Here's the truth: you don't start at the summit. You start at the base with one small step. Begin with 5 minutes a day, just as the student in our story did. Set a timer, grab any notebook or even a scrap of paper, and write whatever comes to mind. It doesn't have to be deep. "I'm tired today," or "I don't know what to say" counts. The point isn't perfection, it's presence. If fear stops, you pause. Ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen if I write this down? The answer is usually nothing. You're not publishing this, you're exploring. Keep your tools simple: a pen, a quiet corner, no distractions. If 5 minutes feels doable after a week, add another 5. Build the habit like you'd build a fire. Start with kindling, not logs. Consistency is your spark. Soon those minutes will become your lighthouse, cutting through the fog of doubt with every word. When it's time to confront a painful memory or a buried fear, resistance will roar like a storm. That's normal. Don't fight it, use it. Start by acknowledging the resistance on the page. "I don't want to write about this." Let that be your entry point. Then take a deep breath and name one emotion tied to the truth you're avoiding. "I felt betrayed." Stop if you need to. Come back tomorrow and add another layer: "I felt betrayed," because each day peel back a little more. If the words feel too heavy, set a boundary. Write for 10 minutes, then close the notebook. Remind yourself this isn't about reliving pain, it's about releasing it. After writing, do something grounding. Walk, breathe, sip water. Reward the courage it took to face the fog. As you persist, you'll notice the beam of clarity growing stronger. The uncomfortable truth loses its power when you name it. Your pen becomes your lighthouse, guiding you through the storm to a place of peace. Before we close, let's reflect one last time on the lighthouse that lives within you. It's not just a tool or a habit, it's a symbol of your unyielding spirit. The fog of life will always roll in. Confusion, fear, and pain are inevitable tides. But you carry the power to pierce that fog, to illuminate your path, no matter how dark the night. Writing is the act of turning on that inner light. It's a choice, a rebellion against staying lost. Think of every word you write as a brick in your lighthouse. Some days you'll place just one. Other days, you'll build a wall. But over time, your structure rises, sturdy, defiant, a beacon, not just for you, but for the parts of yourself you've yet to meet. What would happen if you stopped building? How much of yourself would remain hidden in the haze? The answer is clear. Writing isn't optional if you seek mastery over life. It's your compass, your flame, your way through. So keep building, keep shining. Let your lighthouse stand as proof that no fog can dim your truth. As we step back from the edge of this fog, let's carry with us the lessons etched into these pages. You've seen how a mere 5 minutes of writing can transform a student's fear into confidence, how naming a painful memory can lift a burden you've carried for years. You've felt the power of piercing the haze with practical steps, starting small, facing resistance, building a habit brick by brick. And through it all, the lighthouse of your words has guided you, revealing uncomfortable truths, not as threats, but as teachers, as forges, as stepping stones to understanding yourself. The key lesson shines brighter than ever. Writing down your thoughts isn't just a habit, it's a lifeline to clarity, a way to confront the chaos within and emerge stronger. You can't master life without this act of courage. The fog will return, but now you know how to face it. You hold the beam that cuts through doubt and darkness. As we move forward, prepare to explore how this clarity shapes your actions, your purpose, your very being. For now, hold this truth close and let it fuel your next step. Final mantra: shine your light, pierce the fog, your truth awaits. Picture yourself as a sapling on a windswept hill, fragile and swaying, barely clinging to the shallow earth. The storms of life, doubt, grief, uncertainty, threaten to uproot you. Yet beneath the surface, something powerful stirs. What if the secret to standing tall lies not in the branches you show the world, but in the roots you dare to dig deep? This is the essence of sustained self-reflection, through writing, a relentless, quiet act of rooting yourself into the bedrock of your own truth. You can't master life without understanding yourself. and you can't understand yourself without the courage to write down your thoughts. In this journey of rooting for strength, we dive into the transformative power of putting pen to paper, of carving your inner chaos into words that anchor you. You are not just scribbling. You are planting seeds of clarity in the soil of your soul. Feel the weight of that pen. It's your tool to unearth what's buried, to grow roots so deep that no tempest can shake you. Let's walk this path together through stories of struggle and triumph, through reflections that challenge and heal, and through steps that guide you to wield writing as your strength. Are you ready to dig deeper than you ever have before? Imagine yourself as an artist, a painter whose canvases once burned with raw, untamed passion. But somewhere along the way, the colors dimmed. You stand before a blank easel, paralyzed the whispers of self-doubt, echoing louder than any critic's voice. What if it's terrible? What if I'm a fraud? Months pass and the brushes gather dust. Yet in a moment of quiet desperation, you pick up a journal. You write. Not grand manifestos, but messy, jagged thoughts, every fear, every hesitation, every unspoken shame. Day after day, the pages fill and something shifts. You see it there in black ink. Self-doubt isn't a truth. It's a chain you forge yourself. Through weeks of journaling, you trace the roots of this barrier. It's not talent you lack, but the boldness to risk failure. You write about the first time you painted a child, unafraid of mistakes, and the memory ignites something. One evening, you pen a vow: I will paint again, not for perfection, but for freedom. The next day, you smear crimson across the canvas, reckless and alive. It's not a masterpiece, but it's yours. Each stroke feels like a root burrowing deeper into the earth, anchoring you against the winds of fear. You've begun to take risks to create boldly, because writing revealed the enemy within and gave you the map to defeat it. This is the power of sustained self-reflection. Like a tree rooting deep, your written words become the unseen strength that holds you steady. You don't just paint, you grow. And as you do, you realize the takeaway of this journey: writing down your thoughts transforms chaos into clarity, grounding you to face life's storms with unshakable resolve. Now step into the shoes of someone whose world has shattered. A loved one is gone, and grief is a heavy fog obscuring everything that once felt solid. You wander through days, hollow memories cutting like shards of glass. But one night, unable to sleep, you grab a notebook. You write a single line: I miss you. The tears come, but so does a strange release. Night after night, you return to those pages, spilling out stories, shared laughter over coffee, quiet drives, even the petty arguments you'd give anything to have again. You write through the ache, capturing memories before they slip away. Over months, the act of writing becomes a ritual. You notice patterns in your words: guilt for moments you didn't cherish, anger at the unfairness, and slowly gratitude for the time you had. Each entry is a root reaching deeper into the soil of your heart, stabilizing the ground beneath you. You begin to see yourself healing, not forgetting, but rebuilding. One day you write, I'm still here, and I'll carry you with me. It's not closure, but it's strength. You start smiling at small things again, a sunrise, a kind word, because writing has anchored you through the storm. Like a tree whose roots grow stronger in harsh winds, your daily words have rebuilt your emotional core. The lesson shines clear. Writing is not just a release, it's a foundation. It roots you in your truth, teaching you that sustained reflection transforms pain into purpose, grounding you to stand tall no matter the loss. Let's pause and dig into the essence of this act: writing down your thoughts. It's not glamorous. It's not a lightning bolt of inspiration that changes everything overnight. No, it's the slow, steady work of a tree rooting deep into the earth. Think about it. The mightiest oak doesn't boast its strength in its leaves or branches. Its true power lies beneath in roots that claw through rock and clay, unseen yet unbreakable. So it is with self-reflection. When you write, you're not just venting or musing. You're forging an anchor, a network of understanding that holds you when life's gales howl. How often have you dismissed your own thoughts as fleeting, unworthy of capture? How many insights have slipped through your fingers because you didn't pause to root them in ink? Writing is your rebellion against chaos. It takes the swirling storms in your mind, doubt, fear, grief, and plants them into something tangible. Each word is a tendril reaching deeper, seeking the bedrock of who you are. And as those roots grow, so does your resilience. You begin to see patterns to understand why you falter, why you soar. You can't master life without this understanding, and you can't understand without the discipline to write. So tell me, what truth are you avoiding that only the page can reveal? Consider the soil in which a tree must root. It's not soft or welcoming, it's packed with grit, stones, and resistance. Yet that very struggle forces the roots to grow stronger, to adapt, to endure. So it is with writing through your struggles. When you face self-doubt as the artist did, or grief as the mourner did, the act of putting pen to paper feels like wrestling with unyielding earth. Your hand trembles, your words falter, but each line you write is a victory. You're not just documenting pain, you're transforming it into the very substance that strengthens you. Have you ever stopped to wonder why pain cuts so deep, yet also carves space for growth? Writing through hardship is like a tree pushing through barren ground. Every inch gained is a testament to your will. It's in the raw, messy entries of your journal that you unearth your resilience. You see how far you've come, how much you've endured. As Napoleon Hill wrote in, "Think and grow, richly strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle." Your written words are that effort, the quiet struggle that roots you deeper into yourself. They teach you that life's harshest soils, loss, failure, fear, are the ones that forge your toughest roots. So dig in, face the struggle on the page, and let it ground you. Now let's turn philosophy into action. You don't need to write a novel to transform through self-reflection. You just need to start. Grab a notebook, a scrap of paper, anything. Set aside 5 minutes today. Yes, just 5. Write one thought, one feeling, one question that's gnawing at you. Maybe it's, why do I keep hesitating? Or I felt lost today. Don't judge it, just let it be. Tomorrow, add another 5 minutes. Write what comes, even if it's, I don't know what to say. The act itself is the root pushing through the earth. Consistency is your ally. Make this a daily ritual, even if it's brief. Over weeks, you'll see your thoughts take shape, revealing patterns you didn't notice before. When doubt or pain strikes, pause. Ask yourself, what's beneath this feeling? Write the answer raw and unfiltered. You're not writing for an audience. You're writing to anchor yourself. As James Allen said in As a Man Thinketh, a man's mind may be likened to a garden which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. Cultivate yours through writing. Start small, but dig deep. Those first shaky roots will grow into a foundation no storm can shake. Here's another step to wield writing as your strength. Use it as a mirror. When you're wrestling with a decision, a fear, or a wound, sit down and write a letter to yourself. Address it to Dear Me and pour out everything: your anger, your confusion, your hopes. Then write a response as if you're your own wisest friend. What would you say to someone you love who's struggling with this? This exercise forces you to step outside your chaos and see it with clarity. It's like a tree's roots finding a hidden spring's sudden nourishing insight beneath the surface. Do this weekly or whenever you feel unmoored. Be brutally honest in your first letter. Hold nothing back. In your response, be kind but firm, offering perspective. Over time, you'll notice how this practice roots you in self-compassion and understanding. You'll see solutions you couldn't before. Writing becomes your compass, guiding you back to yourself. As Stephen R. Covey wrote in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, private victories precede public victories. This private act of writing is your victory, rooting you for the battles ahead. Face the mirror of ink and let it ground you. As we close this chapter of Rooting for Strength, let the truth settle into your bones. Writing down your thoughts is not a mere habit. It's a transformative act of self-discovery. Through the artist's battle with self-doubt and the griever's journey through loss, we've seen how sustained reflection anchors us. It's the quiet work of rooting deep into the earth of your soul, building a foundation that no storm can topple. Philosophical musings have shown us that struggle is the soil of growth, and practical steps have equipped you to start small and face your truth. The takeaway is clear: writing transforms chaos into clarity, grounding you to face life's storms with unshakable resolve. You've felt the power of the page, the way it steadies you like roots gripping stone. Carry this forward. Let every word you write be a declaration of strength, a step deeper into understanding yourself. As we prepare to explore the next layer of this journey, remember that mastery of life begins here in the silent, steadfast act of writing. Keep returning to your journal, your anchor, your earth. Let it be your sanctuary and your forge. Final mantra, root deeper. Your strength grows unseen. Picture yourself as a blacksmith standing before a roaring forge hammer, in hand a raw blade before you. The metal is rough, untested, marred by flaws only fire and force can mend. That blade is you, full of potential, yet unsharpened by the trials of life. Will you wield the hammer or let the blade remain dull? Self-mastery is not a gift, it's a craft. And the tool to shape it lies in your written thoughts, the anvil, where your mind meets truth. In this journey to understand yourself, to master life itself, writing down your thoughts becomes the heat that tempers your resolve. It's not just ink on paper, it's the process of forging clarity from chaos, strength from struggle. You've walked a long path to reach this moment, and now in mastering the blade, we confront a vital truth. Achieving self-mastery demands that you use your written insights to guide every decision, to carve a future aligned with your deepest purpose. Feel the weight of the hammer in your grip. Sense the heat of the forge. You are ready to shape who you become. Imagine yourself as a leader, shoulders heavy with responsibility, pacing a quiet office late at night. You've guided teams through storms, made decisions under crushing pressure, yet something gnaws at you. Stress coils like a serpent, tightening with every missed deadline, every conflict unresolved. You've hidden the strain, masked it with forced smiles, but it festers. One evening, exhausted, you pull out a stack of old journals, years of scribbled thoughts, raw and unfiltered. Pages of triumphs, doubts, and quiet fears stare back at you. As you read, patterns emerge like sparks from the forge. You see how stress peaks when you overcommit, when you neglect rest for the sake of proving your worth. You notice entries where a single harsh word from a colleague sent you spiraling for days, not because of their intent, but because of a deeper wound you never named. The journals reveal a truth: your reactions, not the events, shape your pain. You pause, you breathe, and in that moment you choose a healthier path. No more silent endurance. You decide to set boundaries, to seek support, to honor your limits as fiercely as you honor your ambition. Like a blacksmith inspecting a blade for cracks, you've used your written insights to spot weaknesses, not to lament them, but to strengthen them. The lesson burns clear. Self-mastery begins when you confront your patterns on the page. By writing, you hold the hammer. By reflecting, you strike. And by choosing better, you sharpen the blade of your life. Now picture yourself as a dreamer, someone with a heart full of aspirations but a mind tangled in doubt. You've wanted to build something meaningful, a business, a family legacy, a creative pursuit, but your days slip by in a haze of distraction. One rainy afternoon, you sit with a notebook, tired of drifting. You begin to write, not with grand plans, but with raw honesty. What do you truly value? What stirs your soul when the world is quiet? The pen moves and answers flow: connection, growth, impact. With each word, you set intentional goals, not based on fleeting whims, but on the bedrock of your deepest values. You commit to small, deliberate actions, 10 minutes a day on your craft, one conversation a week to build a bond. You revisit your reflections weekly, adjusting your course like a blacksmith, testing the edge of a blade. Months pass, and you see it, your actions align with your purpose. The business takes shape, the relationships deepen. You're no longer a leaf in the wind, you're a force carving your path. The blade of your life gleams with intent. Writing down your thoughts didn't just clarify your vision, it forged your resolve. The lesson shines like polished steel. Self-mastery is aligning your choices with your truth, and the page is where that alignment begins. Let's step back into the forge, where the air is thick with heat and the clang of metal echoes like a heartbeat. Writing your thoughts is no mere habit. It's the fire that transforms raw iron into a blade of purpose. Without it, you remain unshaped, vulnerable to every blow life deals. With it, you gain the power to see yourself as you are, not as you wish to be, nor as others define you, but as the raw material of your own potential. How often have you stumbled blindly, reacting to storms without understanding their source? How many wounds have you carried unexamined until they dulled your edge? The act of writing is the hammer's strike. It forces you to name your fears, to trace your joys, to unearth the patterns that bind you. A journal is not a diary of events. It's a mirror of your soul. When you write, you stand before that mirror unflinching and say, "This is who I am. This is who I will become." And in that act, you begin to master yourself. Like a blacksmith who knows every imperfection in the blade, you learn to wield your strengths and temper your flaws. Self-mastery is not perfection. It's the relentless craft of shaping who you are into who you must be. Consider the moment a blacksmith tests the blade, running a calloused thumb along its edge. Too dull, and it fails its purpose. Too brittle, and it shatters under strain. Your decisions are that edge honed or blunted by the insights you forge on the page. Life is a relentless battlefield, and every choice you make, whether to push forward, to retreat, to speak, to stay silent, determines your fate. But how do you choose wisely when the mind is a storm of doubt and desire? Writing is your whetstone. It sharpens your clarity, cuts through the noise, and reveals the path aligned with your core. When you document your thoughts, you don't just record the past, you illuminate the future. You see where impulse led you astray, where patience bore fruit. You uncover the values that anchor you when the ground trembles. Have you ever paused to ask, what guides my choices when the heat of the moment blinds me? The answer lies in the pages you filled the forge where your wisdom is tempered. Self-mastery is not about controlling life's chaos. It's about commanding your response to it, blade in hand, edge ever sharp. Let's craft a forge of your own, a space to shape your thoughts into power. Start simple, but start now. Take a notebook, a digital app, anything that feels right, and commit to writing for 5 minutes each day. Don't aim for poetry or perfection. Aim for truth. Ask yourself, what weighed on me today? What stirred my heart? Write without judgment. Let the words spill like molten metal, raw and unshaped. Next, revisit your entries weekly. Look for patterns, moments of stress, sparks of joy, recurring doubts. Circle one insight that strikes you and decide on one small action to address it. If stress looms large, schedule 10 minutes of quiet breathing. If a dream keeps surfacing, take one step toward it, no matter how small. Writing isn't just reflection, it's direction. As Stephen R. Covey wrote in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People begin with the end in mind. Your journal is where that end takes shape. Use it to guide your decisions, to forge a future, not of chance, but of choice. Now let's hone the blade of your purpose with intentional goals. Sit with your journal and write down what matters most to you, not what others expect, but what burns in your core. Is it freedom, connection, creation? Name it, then break it into a single actionable goal for the next month. If it's connection, commit to calling a loved one twice a week. If it's creation, set aside 30 minutes daily to build your craft. Revisit this goal in your writing. Track your progress note, your struggles, and adjust as needed. When doubt creeps in, flip back to your why, that core value you named. As Napoleon Hill said in Think and Grow Rich, a burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. Your written thoughts fuel that desire, keeping the edge of your ambition sharp. Use them to align every step with your deepest truth. You're not just dreaming, you're forging. Return to the forge one last time. The blade you've shaped gleams with purpose, but its strength is not in its sharpness alone. It's in the countless strikes it endured to get there. So it is with you. Self-mastery is not a destination. It's a lifelong craft built on the anvil of your written insights. Every word you commit to the page is a strike. Every reflection, a test of resilience. Why do so many falter, abandoning their tools before the blade takes form? Because they fear the heat, the weight of facing themselves. But you are different. You've chosen to stand in the fire, to wield the hammer of honesty, to shape your life with intent. Writing your thoughts is not a burden, it's your liberation. It frees you from the chains of unexamined habits, from the fog of unguided choices. As Viktor E. Frankl wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Your journal is that space. Use it to master yourself, to forge a blade that cuts through life's chaos with unyielding strength. You've stood in the forge of self-mastery, hammer in hand, shaping the blade of your life with every written thought. You've seen how a leader's journals revealed patterns of stress, guiding them to healthier choices. You've witnessed a dreamer align their actions with their deepest values, carving a future of purpose through reflection. You've learned that writing is not just a record, it's a weapon, a tool to guide decisions and craft the person you're meant to become. The key lesson stands like tempered steel self-mastery blooms when you use written insights to illuminate your path and shape your destiny. The forge never cools. Life will test your edge, challenge your resolve, but you now hold the power to sharpen yourself again and again. As we move forward, prepare to wield this blade in new battles, to face deeper truths with the clarity only your words can provide. Stand tall, blacksmith of your soul. Keep striking, keep shaping, keep mastering. Final mantra, strike true. Your blade is your truth.